Hey there, Julia here. Today I am showing you what I have inked up for January as I set up my first currently inked spread in the new ink journal. It is an A5 or Estelle 365 planner, so we're going a little bit bigger this year. And I just think that these currently inked hangouts are a good time to chat about different pens, inks, and nibs. We will revisit my December 2024 pen and inks soon and pick a favorite of the year there, but for now, let's get this spread started. So something I started a couple of months ago, and I don't know if I've mentioned it here, is having a couple of things that are long-term inked. So you do know that my wedding pen is just perpetually inked with Sailor Komakusa. But other than that, I have three categories that I want to keep inked up. I always want to have a blue ink, a black ink, and a flex nib. And those pen and inks may change every few months. So the blue-black story is a little bit different this time. It's pretty cool. I got this as a Christmas gift, and it is this pen BBS 469. This is the Starry Night colorway. And the very cool thing about this is that it is double-headed. So you have a nib on that side and a nib on this side. They're both eyedroppered here. And this is just where I'm gonna keep, at least for right now, a black ink and a blue ink. So I will document this up here. My black ink is a medium and my blue ink is a fine. But the black ink is platinum carbon black. And it's really comfortable. I am quite shocked. And it's really balanced and it's not crazy expensive. Such a cool pen. On this blue side is Sailor Manio, Kanagi, and let's just say, we're just gonna do this. I'm just trying to fill this out how I want this layout to go. This is the pen BBS 469 in Starry Night. And you probably won't see this again unless my black and blue changes, at least on the currently inked spread. And then for my flex nib, I'm going with the Pilot Custom 912, and this is inked with Diamine Aurora Borealis. I've actually had this inked up for at least a month and a half. And this does have the FA nib on it. That is how and why we have some flex there. Okay, so those are my two long-term inked pens right now. So from there, we're gonna go ahead and talk about a pen that I've also had inked up for a little bit, but I am continuing it on into January, and that is a new acquisition. I got this for Fountain Pen Day, and it took a little bit to arrive, but I've been loving it. This is the Scribo Lauda in the Saragossa colorway, and this has an extra fine flex nib on it, which I've been dying to try for so long. And the resin here just reminds me of earth. And the trim on it is just this like lovely like bronze copper situation, but I'm pretty sure the camera is not going to do it justice because to me it just looks better in person than it did even in the photos. But I have this inked up with Venta Peregrino, which if you for some reason remember, I got this at the Colorado Pen Show for $2 in a little bargain bin at the Pen Realm table, and it is a gorgeous vibrant blue. And it does not post. It's a piston filler as well. Yeah, and I think it writes really well when I'm just trying to do, your everyday writing, and it's quite easy to get it to flex. The snapback is nice and comfortable, and yeah, I'm so glad I got this with a deal. I think it was 20% off, and yeah. The next pen up is by Just Turning. This is called the Overpour 2 colorway. And I just thought that these colors were just super fun. And I really like when these swirly pens have several colors that I can match to. There's some blues in here, some purples, orange. Yeah, nice creamies. I can even go brown here. So very nice as far as color matches. This is one of those pens that take a Jowo number 6 nib, and so I just decided this time to go with a fine nib. And I have this inked up with an ink that I haven't used in a pen yet. This is by Journalize, and it's from the Starry Night collection, and this ink is called Dark Matter. It does have some shimmer in it. Okay, what I'm not loving is just a little bit of feathering going on here, and it's not everywhere. Interesting. Next up, we have this gorgeous pen. This is by Edison Pens. It's an Atlas Stationers exclusive. This is the Collier. It's very subtle, but it just reminds me of like Ursula in The Little Mermaid, her cave. I don't know, I just really love the colorway here. But this is another one of those pens that you can fit it with a Jowo number 6 nib. And I have lots of Jowo number 6 nibs, specifically with different custom nib grinds, just so I can switch them in and out as I see fit. So right now in this pen, I have a Cursive Smooth Italic by Kirk Spear, and I have it inked up with Diamine Vibe. And this was one from the 2024 inkvent calendar. It's an extreme sheener, or as I like to call them, a sheen queen. it's gonna be Whoa. Of course, got a little ink spillage there, so hopefully that's not too distracting as we continue, but this should be really fun once it dries down a little bit more to see that extreme sheen. Okay, we're a little dark and moody so far, I know, but we're gonna lighten things up a bit with this next one. This is a pen by Papa J Woodworks, and this one is called Lavender Haze. Now, typically this one would fit in with these Yovo number 6 nibs, but I recently did a little tinkering and have fitted the Pilot Falcon nib in soft fine. Pilot Falcon, the actual pen model and not the FA nib. So that nib is fitted into this, and it has the Pilot Con 70 converter in there. How is this done? Let me know if you want a whole video on it, but basically I got a housing from Flexible Nib Factory. I'll leave it linked down below. But with that housing, you're able to put this specific nib in there and this specific pilot converter. I would also check to make sure that if you're going for a Con 70 converter, that it fits, because it is quite long and it wouldn't fit in just any old pen that I had. So I really love this little Frankenstein project. I was actually selling my Pilot Falcon with the all red body because I wasn't so much in love with that bold red pen. And now I'm not going to sell it because I really love it in this pen, and just the fact that I can move around this nib to a few different pens because I do really love the nib. So I have this inked up with Wearing Gold Jane Eyre. So we are lightening up a bit with this pretty standard lavender ink. And the fun thing about this, I have ink everywhere and I'm gonna need to wash my hands, but the fun thing about this particular nib is that it does have a very subtle, nice flex to it. But it's also very comfortable just writing like this. Other than this feathering, oh, that's gonna bother me. I hope this is not an ongoing thing. I'm really hoping that it's the oils on my hands, even though my hands are really dry right now, because I'm going to lose my mind if I have to redo an ink journal setup. This is terrible. It's just throwing me off because this one didn't do it. Okay, we're just gonna use this, even though it might be too late. The next pen that I have inked up is my Esterbrook Esty in Winter White. This is also another pen that is Yovo number 6 compatible. And right now I have the Perspective Grind by Gina Celerino fitted in there. This is the button fill version of this pen, and I have it inked up with Troublemaker's Milky Ocean, which is a super pretty color shifting, like blue, purple, blurple. And I just thought that this one was really wintry. I really do think this is a very pretty combination, and we'll see what happens here. We're looking a little flat on this paper, and that worries me as well. So don't be surprised if I bust up in here with a new ink journal setup. The next pen that I have inked up is another Esterbrook Estie, but this one is a new one. I actually won it in the Juicy Broads holiday pen giveaway. This is the Esterbrook King of the Night. Thank you so much if you voted for my photo that I entered with to win. This is just a gorgeous pen. And all the fun little accessories that come with it as well as a nice little bonus. But again, this is one that has a Yovo nib. I have this fitted with a mini stub, which is a stub nib made from a fine nib. So it's a little more subtle, the stubness of it all. And I have this inked up with ox blood. I was gonna go with writer's blood, which is a little bit darker than this one, but I had writer's blood inked up all December, loved it, but I just wanted a slight change there. What in the actual f***? Oh, hell no, we even got bleeding. Okay, guys, we even have bleeding here, so definitely going to be looking at alternatives, which hurts my heart. Look at that bleeding. But as far as this currently inked spread, I still want to show you guys what I have inked, so we're just gonna keep it moving. So the next pen I have inked up, I haven't inked up in over a year, which is just heartbreaking because I love this pen. But you know, when new pens come in, things get overlooked, you get excited, etc. And so my E95S, we need to ink her up again. This is in the burgundy colorway with a fine nib, and I love an inlaid nib. I love when there's just something special about the nib. This is a lovely pocket pen and it has that vintage feel and it's just lovely. It's a lovely one. I have it inked up with a sample of Conklin Rich Mahogany, which as the name implies, it is a very rich brown. And I am trying my hardest not to spiral, thinking about what I have in my notebook stash that I can use for a new ink journal. This is a lovely writer and it was my first gold nib. Okay, while that one has a vintage look and feel, the next one is in fact a vintage pen, which it feels weird saying that this is a vintage pen because it's from 1996, but this is the Parker Dual Fold International, and this is the black and pearl colorway. It's gorgeous, and I got this from Ink Pen from Joel Hamilton, also known as my pen dealer. But I have this in a medium nib, and I have it inked up with Diamine Tobacco Sunburst, which I'm pretty sure is from their guitar color line. This is such a pretty honey brown. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this. Yeah, this is really weird because we have feathering here, but nothing here. I just think this paper is very inconsistent and we just can't have that. This notebook is for inks and swatching, and I want to be able to do what I want to do without that. The next pen that I have inked up is actually on my wish list for 2025, but I acquired it the last week of December from a good pen friend. He was selling this pen or thinking about selling this pen to fund another one. And I said, well, if you decide to sell this pen, please hit me up because it's a grail pen of mine. And so that ended up being the case. Super excited to have this pen in such great condition, but this is the Pilot MYU. I think some people call it Mew, but MYU. And according to the seller, this one was manufactured close to the beginning, and so that would put this around 1971. My favorite thing about this, as you may can guess, is the nib. Look at how the nib is like built into the body of the pen. It looks so futuristic, but also has this vintage vibe, and it is gorgeous. It has a fine nib, and it has been tuned by Annabelle, who is amazing. And real quick, if you want to see it up next to the Pilot E95S, there are definitely similarities, but different shape, obviously different nib, but they're both pocket pens. I have this inked up with Wearing Goal, the picture of Dorian Gray. And I just thought this would be a fun match for this because it's gray, it's giving silver, it's like a purpley silver. That reminds me a little bit of the same way I feel about the pen, where it's like futuristic feeling, but also vintage feeling. And of course, it being a standard ink, I definitely don't want anything too high maintenance in this particular pen. And as you would expect from Pilot, it's a lovely writer. And with that said, I'm gonna let this dry. We will take a closer look, though we do have some feathering and whatnot. See what you guys think and go from there. Okay, let's take a closer look at my currently inked, feathering and all. We have the Scribo Lauda in the Saragossa colorway, inked with Venta Peregrino. Such a beautiful pen and ink. We have the Just Turnings over Pour 2, inked with Journalize Dark Matter. You can see that shimmer. It's like a very teal shimmer on a dark purple. We have the Edison and Atlas collaboration Collier, inked with Diamine Vibe. You get quite a bit of sheen in the writing. Not sure if we will pick that up here. Things got very interesting with the Papa J Woodworks Lavender Haze, fitted with the Pilot Soft Fine nib, and that's inked with Wearing Goals Jane Eyre. Such a pretty match though, and on paper that acts right, it is very pretty. Then we have the Esterbrook SD in Winter White, inked with Troublemaker's Milky Ocean. And yes, you can definitely see the blue, purple, pink color shifting in both the swatch and the writing. It is a gorgeous one. Then we have Esterbrook SD King of the Night, inked up with Diamine Oxblood, which is such a cool, moody match. Our next one is the Pilot E95S in Burgundy, matched up with Conklin Rich Mahogany. Then we have the Parker Duofold International in Pearl and Black, inked up with Diamine Tobacco Sunburst. And finally, the Pilot MYU, inked up with Wearing Goals, The Picture of Dorian Gray. So that's what I have inked up this month. I will let you know what I end up doing with this ink journal, and maybe we can do a quick video of a new ink journal setup. I will probably use these pages as scrap paper and just cut it out of this journal, or just use it as is as a scrap notebook. Very disappointed about that. But let me know what you think of the lineup this month. Let me know what your favorite pen and ink pairing is. What do you have going on for January? Let me know down in the comments. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any pen and ink hangouts. And to get you prepped for the best of 2024, if you want to know what that winner was or is, or if you just, want to talk some more pens and inks, I'm going to leave you that December 2024 currently inked, which is also a best of currently inked. I picked my favorite pen and ink pairings from each month. I'll leave that for you right here. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging in with the feathering mess. I will catch you all in the next one.